So we've spoken a lot about fish.
Yep.
What about other things in the pond? Is there anything else that's becoming more active?
Everything's becoming more active in the pond. I mean, I'm not really much of a plants person, so I'm not really going to talk much about the plants because I know very little about them. They're green, and the leaves point up and the roots point down.
See, I told you we knew a lot, didn't I?
Yes, bask in the glory of my botanical knowledge. Yeah.
Plants are green. Thank you very much.
Yeah, except the red ones. Yeah.
And the yellow ones.
Yeah. Well, they're dead green ones, but yeah.
See how much you know.
The collective knowledge on plants. Yeah.
So anyway, we digress. Plants.
We digress. So everything's becoming more active. I don't really want to talk about the plants too much, but the other thing to really consider in the pond is the filter bacteria, the nitrifying bacteria, those that are breaking down the toxic ammonia that the fish are releasing, and then the nitrite that ammonia is converted into, that's then converted into nitrate. That's a process performed by ammonia and nitrite oxidizing bacteria. And over the winter, just like the fish, those have hugely, they've gone into a big dormancy. Their populations would have died back a lot, and that we don't quite understand how they're going into this sort of suspended animation. There's more research needed on that, but they're less active. They're less active because it's cooler, but also there's just less food for them. We're putting less food in for the fish. The fish's metabolic rate is lower, so the fish is excreting less. So there's just not as much food for these bacteria. So it's probably that's one of the key drivers putting them into a dormancy is the lack of substrate, as well as by which I mean their food source, as well as the decreasing temperature.
Is there anything people can do to help them along?
Yes, lots. I mean, first thing we would need to be doing is we need some data about how they're getting on, and that's where the test kits come in. At this time of year, testing the ammonia and the nitrite levels in the pond is really, really important, and that can be quite a challenge because it's sort of it's chemistry, isn't it? And a lot of us didn't really like chemistry at school, and it's quite a challenging subject, and there's lots of nasty symbols, and nitrite, there's only one letter spelling in the difference, and the chemical formulae look the same, and it's all just a bit hard and a bit nerdy, but it's really important to do because it's giving us this information about, well, are these bacteria coming back online? Okay, because if we've got if there's a problem, we're going to see that in an increased level of nitrite in the water, or we're going to see an increased level of ammonia in the water, and that's not good for the fish. That means we need to, cut back down on the feeding, or it could mean we've got too many fish in the pool, or it could mean there's a problem in the filter. This is giving us crucial information about the health of the pond. And, if we could think of ourselves primarily as bacteria keepers, and we were making sure everything in the pond, and this applies to aquarium as well, if we were doing everything we could to make sure that these precious bacteria living in the filter were okay, then the fish can do an awful lot of the rest themselves. And that's primarily at this time of year for pond keepers. Doing these ammonia and nitrite tests is crucial.
If there's anyone out there that maybe has been a little bit scared of using them before because it's taken them back to an old image in their mind about told off in a chemistry lesson, and they're a bit fearful of that, what would you? Are they easy to use? Are they very accurate?
Tetra, we've tried to make it as easy as possible by making it so you can have a dipstick that you would put into the pond water, and then that's got some little coloured pads on it, and then you can hold that dipstick up to your smartphone, and your smartphone will do the readings for you, and then the smartphone will store the readings. So that's trying to take out any of the pain out of water testing, and the ability as well, because not only is it crucial to be testing the water and seeing what's the ammonia in the pond right here, right now, but we then need to be thinking, how does that relate to what it was 2 days ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Being able to see those trends is really useful.
Yeah, just making it so much more easy.
Yes, yeah. So with this 6-in-1 test strips and the water test app that we do, it really is trying to make water testing as painless and as fun as possible. And it really is, so important. And it doesn't matter what type of fish we're keeping. Getting that water information in is crucial. The training that I've done in the past with the Environment Agency, we're doing the same sort of thing about looking at, rather than pond management, we're talking about managing vast lakes for angling, and full of fish for angling, for example. The same thing applies to those.
Yeah.
You've got to.
And I guess going back to the introduction of you were saying you're so interested in fish welfare. This is obviously a big part of that, isn't it?
It is, because if the water,
after the water properly, you're not helping your fish.
Yeah. And if the water is, let's say we've got high levels of ammonia or high levels of nitrite, then that is having a direct toxic effect on the fish. So the fish is then having to compensate to deal with that, and that compensation comes at a cost. So they have to pay the cost by not being able to breed, not being able to grow, and probably most notably, their immune system starts to suffer. The stress response that the fish mounts in order to mobilize the resources it needs to cope with this demand, the stress response can have a direct suppressive effect on the immune system. So we're giving a sort of leg up to the pathogens in the pond. We're saying to the pathogens, there you go, my fish are easier to infect now because I've stressed them, because the water quality is